The federal government has unveiled a major shift in Canada's immigration strategy as part of the 2025 budget. Immigration Minister Lena Diab announced that foreigners already living in Canada will now be given priority for permanent residency, marking a move to stabilize immigration numbers and ease pressure on the country's infrastructure and social services. The plan freezes the number of new permanent residents at 380,000 per year for the next 3 years, but an additional 148,000 permanent residents will still be added through special one-time initiatives over the next 2 years. These include 115,000 refugees who will be granted permanent status and another 33,000 temporary work permit holders who will transition to permanent residency in 2026 and 2027. Diab explained that prioritizing temporary residents already living in Canada, many of whom are working, studying, or raising families, will reduce the strain on housing, healthcare, and other social systems while still supporting economic needs. Approximately half of all those who gain permanent residency this year are already in Canada under temporary permits. The government also announced a dramatic cut to the number of temporary residents, including international students, over the next 3 years. Admissions of international students will be halved, while the number of temporary foreign workers will fall from 82,000 this year to 60,000 next year and down to 50,000 by 2027. Seasonal workers, such as agricultural employees who stay less than 270 days, are not included in these targets. Finance Minister François-Philippe Champagne, who unusually presented the immigration levels plan instead of the immigration minister, emphasized the need to reward those who have already contributed to Canadian communities. Speaking in Montreal, he noted that many so-called temporary residents have lived in the country for years, with children now entering high school, and should be provided a clear path to permanent residency. The government also pledged to tailor its immigration approach to meet the labor needs of non-urban regions, focusing on industries affected by tariffs and economic shifts. Economist Henry Lowton, a former federal economist, supported the government's focus, noting that immigrants who have lived and worked in Canada before obtaining permanent residency tend to integrate more successfully and earn higher incomes. He also stressed that these residents do not place additional burdens on housing or social systems compared to newcomers from abroad. However, he warned that excluding short-term visa holders from official immigration counts could distort planning and make it harder to address housing and infrastructure challenges. Despite the budget's intention to balance population growth with infrastructure capacity, critics argue the changes could harm Canada's reputation as a welcoming destination. NDP immigration critic Jenny Kwan called the plan a disappointing retreat from Canada's traditional values of openness and inclusivity. She warned that slashing international student numbers will have severe consequences for universities, local economies, and employment. Meanwhile, refugee advocates welcomed the move to grant permanent residency to 115,000 asylum seekers waiting in limbo, calling it a hugely overdue initiative that will allow them to reunite with their families abroad. Under the revised framework, provinces will gain greater authority to nominate immigrants suited to local economic needs, with the number of provincial nominations increasing from 55,000 this year to 91,500 next year. The overall goal, according to the government, is to stabilize Canada's population growth while ensuring those already contributing to society have a path to stay permanently.